The Prophet ﷺ, we're asking support from our Shaykh, has already said 1400 years ago that Islam will be divided. It is not a shock, a surprise. He didn't come to bring paradise, to say everything is going to be perfect. He is showing us the illusion of this world, the evil of this world, the evil of our ego, the evil of our desire, and the evil of shaitan in this world, and is pointing to the perfection of Akhirat and how to achieve that. He did not come to bring, it's just to reflect. He did not come to bring perfection. He came to reflect so that we have an idea, and the whole point is to leave this world. Whether you believe or you don't believe, Muslim or non-Muslim, you have to leave this world. But how you leave this world, that's a big question. If you want to leave this world to meet your Lord will want to meet you. If you don't want to meet this world, you don't want to meet your Lord, you think that time your Lord wants to meet you. So now, he did not say, oh, I come to bring Islam, everybody is going to be one, perfect, and everything is going to be like Jannah here. No. Islam is a religion of maturity and responsibility, so that we understand now what is haqq and what is batil. Haqq and batil still exist. Truth and falsehood still exist in this world. With a prophet or without a prophet. Talking physically. So Prophet ﷺ, 1400 years ago, he has said to his companions, and his sayings are recorded in a separate thing called the hadith, the sayings of the Prophet. And things that the Prophet approved, although he didn't say or he didn't do, but he sees others do or they say and he approved. That becomes a sunnah. And all other books, they combine the sayings of Allah, the sayings of the Prophet, the commentary, sayings of saints, everything is mixed up. But in Islam it is clear, Quran is the word of Allah. Then there is Hadith Qudsi, which is private words of Allah, between Allah and His Prophet. That is a separate Hadith, Qudsi. Meaning it is what? Quddus, it is holy Hadith. Then there is a Hadith, what the Prophet ﷺ, his life, what he said, what he did. That's different. Then there's Riwayat, the stories of the Sahabi Kiram, the companions who witnessed different things and they did, that's a different thing. Then there is commentary, tafsir, what people who came later, who would give commentary about the Quran or about the Hadith Qudsi or about the Hadith, then they would also say, if you combine everything up, you get everything confusing. So many books they are like that, but not the Quran. So Prophet ﷺ, he has said 1400 years ago to his companions, Islam, the Muslims, will be divided into not only three groups, you're mentioning only three groups here, Sunni, Shia and Salafi. He said Islam will be divided into 73 different groups, not three. We are not shocked. We are not like so many other Muslims that, they ask us a question, why is that division? If you say it's peace and love and this and that, why are Muslims fighting against Muslims? We look like, we're deer caught in headlights. We don't know how to answer that. No, it's already answered 1400 years ago. Islam will be divided into 73 different groups. And the Prophet ﷺ said, only one is correct. He didn't say 2 or 3 or 5, only one is correct. The rest, they're bounding to hellfire. He didn't leave it open for interpretation. Which one is it? Is it this group or this group or this group? He named it because they asked him, Which group is that, Ya Rasulullah? Alayhi wasalam. And he says, those who follow one group that is accepted, that is correct, one group. And that group is the one who follows my example, my sunnah, my lifestyle, my worship, my thinking, everything, who follows me, and those who follows my sahabis, my companions. He didn't leave any, what they call, wiggle room. Because if he just stopped to say, those who follow my sunnah, those who follow my example, now you have so many people claiming they follow the example. The example of the Prophet, for example, is like this much. And they only look over here and they don't look at everything here and they say, we follow this Prophet properly. All you guys who follow this much, you're all wrong. Some saying, we take only this part, we don't follow all this part. We're taking this part, we're following example, we are right, you are all wrong, because everyone will have their own interpretation. But he did not leave any room for that. He says, those who follow my sunnat and the sunnat of my companions, my sahabis, because those are the ones that I leave my teachings to. If you don't follow them, meaning, and who would the companions of the Prophet leave their teachings to? To us? No, to the generation after them. What about that generation after that? Are they going to leave it to us 1,000 years later? No, to the generation after that, to the generation after that. So if you're not holding on to that chain, to that protocol, if you're saying, I don't want all these 1,400 years of people who follow, I don't want all these generations, I want to cut to the chase, to the first generation, you fall under one of the 72 that is bounding to hellfire. It says, those who follow my sunnat and the sunnat of my sahabis. And when there was one Khalifah, for over 1,300 years, there was one Khalifah representing Islam. Any of those other divisions that they still say, we want divisions, we don't want to be with you, they have always been dealt with properly so that they don't cause any confusion. In the time of the Prophet, ﷺ, after he passed, already they were so divided, right after. 124,000 Sahabis. So many other ones, they divided. There were already divisions at that time. Some saying, I follow everything, but I don't want to follow Abu Bakr Siddiq. They became Shia. Prophet never said. There was no Shia during the Prophet's time. Then there are those who say, we don't want to follow Abu Bakr. We don't want to follow those ones who say Ali should be the one. We don't want to follow no one, but only Allah and His book. Those became another group that is bounding to hellfire. And the Khalifah dealt with them. They worship, they make zikr, they pray, they fast, they do everything. But they are not following the teachings of the Prophet and the sunnat of the Prophet and the Prophet's companions. They're not accepting the Prophet's companions, those that he has given authority to. They're dealt with. Then there are other groups who say, we follow Prophet, we don't want to follow Abu Bakr Siddiq. We declare our own selves to be prophets. Astaghfirullah. Musaylama the liar, his name is Musaylama Kazab, the greatest liar. He says, I'm a prophet. He even wrote a surah. He wrote a surah. That if somebody come now recite the surah, you think it's from the Quran. It's Arabic. So many people proud of Arabic. Musaylama was Arab. It's called the frog. Called the frog, really. Praising the frog, then later says this world is divided into half for Muhammad والسلام, and half for me, he's saying. And he married a woman who declared herself to be a prophet. Prophet and prophet marrying, subhanallah. And he gave a mihir to her, a dowry, saying, oh, as a dowry, I will drop 2 prayers. So you pray only 3 times, not 5 times. That is my mihir. The Khalifah dealt with that. Every generation, there's another group who says, we don't want to follow this way. Khalifah dealt with it. Another group comes up, Khalifah dealt with it. Another group comes up, Khalifah dealt with it. Then there was a big poison that came out in the early days called Khawarij. These are the grandfathers of the Salafis and the Wahhabis. The Khalifah dealt with it too and finished them off. Their teachings contained in a book. 1,000 years later, enemies coming in. One deranged scholar took the book and he started to make fitna. He was punished. His name is Ibn Taymiyyah. He is punished. It fell down. The teachings then later, with the enemies again coming in, because you see, Islam can only be destroyed from the inside, never from the outside, and always in the clothes of a scholar. Another deranged scholar came, enemies supported him, took the teachings of Ibn Taymiyyah, and that one became one horn of shaitan. And that one's name is Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, one horn of shaitan. That he became followers calling themselves Wahhabis. There are 2 horns, and the other horn is representing the power, political power of the people of that tribe that was in Najd, of that family, and that family is Muhammad ibn Abdul Saud, whatever his name is, Saud. 2 horns coming up. From Najd, the Prophet says, he refuses to pray for Najd, and he says 2 horns of shaitan will come out from Najd. Yahir Zaman. So, for 1300 years, different groups coming up. The Khalifah dealt with it, he dealt with it, bringing everyone to come back together. Now, but once the Khilafat started to become weaker, the enemies start to become stronger, they're supporting these ones inside of Islam. And Wahhabism start to come up. Then when they remove the Khilafat, they put these Wahhabis to be in charge of the holy places. Then they destroyed everything. That was only less than 150 years ago. So now, all this violence and terrorism and everything, trace it back. Its background is not Sunni or Sufi or this or that. Use your imagination if you don't have intelligence. May Allah protect us, inshallah. So many foolish ones, I'm Muslim. I'm not Sunni or Sufi or this or that, I'm Muslim. Yeah, and what you want me to give you? A medal? What kind of Muslim you are? These are divisions. There are different groups. They are not divided. They are not in conflict. They're just different groups. For example, in Sunni, in the Ahl Sunnat beliefs and teachings, the Ahl Sunnat, the group that follows the Prophet, the Sunnat of the Prophet and the Sunnat of his Sahabis, the one group that is saved, 4 mazhabs. Only 4, not 5. 4 mazhabs. These are different mazhabs, different schools within Islam. They are not fighting with each other. It's just a different way. All same direction, different roads. Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, and Hanbali. Now within these 4 mazhabs, there may be over 40 major turuk, tariqat. These are spiritual ways inside of these mazhabs that if you want to deepen your faith now and deepen your belief, if you want to go to a higher school, if you want to go to a tertiary education, then it is like that. You enter into a tariqat, and there are over 41, there's 41 major ways, and maybe tens of hundreds, maybe so many subdivisions, smaller branches from that. It is allowed. They're not fighting with each other. Of course, once the head is removed, once the sultan is removed, when the sultan al-awliya, sultan is removed, then all these ones, they're going to eat each other. They're going to butt heads with each other. Exactly what happened. The Khalifah was removed. Now everyone starts eating each other. Conflict. Mazhabs start fighting with each other. Tariqats start fighting with each other. Everyone fighting with each other because the head is removed. So we are pulling ourselves from all of that, finding ourselves some rest and peace on top of a mountain to practice our religion simply with sincerity. May Allah accept it, inshallah.